Good morning, everyone. It's Tess, and today is going to be tip 113. And like I said, I'm trying to do a few little different things. Dr. challenged the whole entire challenge community to go live this month, and I thought I'm going to try to grab little different things here and there. And this morning I found an article with 40 brilliant kitchen hacks, and I know we see those pop up all the time, but I was just kind of curious, and I thought I'm going to read through it and maybe find a handful that I try and see if they work. So I'll let you know how that goes, but I'll share what I found in this article. And it says there are 40 brilliant kitchen hacks that will forever change how you eat. And really that's what we've all been working on the past year, is how to eat. Now I thought this first one was kind of interesting. What it shows is you can create, we all know that if your water boiling in your pot boils over, it can cause a mess on your stove. And this particular kitchen hack is that if you're boiling water on the stove, take a wooden spoon and lay it across your the top of your pan, and that is supposed to stop you. It says that you can create a huge mess if you're boiling water and water spills over the top onto your stove. And it says simply take a wooden spoon and place it over the top of your pot, and that will prevent that from happening. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and maybe something I'll try next time I boil eggs. Never heard that one before. This one I have heard of before, and this I kind of do myself. It says preserve herbs for a lot longer by freezing them. And I do that even with my lettuces for my green smoothies. When I have an abundant harvest, I just blend it down, put it in ice cube trays, and maybe this is where I got it from. Freeze it, put it in bags, and then I pop it out when I need it. So I do think this one works because I have actually used this before. It does say number 3 is you can use your microwave to peel fruit. I thought that was really interesting, but it said if you can place your fruit in the microwave for 20 seconds, that will actually make it easier to take your peels off. Again, I've never tried this, but it's an interesting thought. Make cupcakes with parchment paper. Now, I'm not eating cupcakes, but if you are out there, it just kind of, it's probably an inexpensive way to get those little cups that people are buying at the store. So parchment paper, and I believe that one would work too. I don't see why that one wouldn't. This was a new one to me also. Keep your plastic wrap in the refrigerator. It actually helps prevent it. Hi, Catherine. Good to see you. It says keeping your, and I've never heard this one before, kitchen hacks. I'm talking about kitchen hacks and things I might try to make getting things ready a little easier. This particular one, number 5, talks about keeping your plastic wrap in the refrigerator. It helps make it not stick so much to itself, so it makes it easier to use. I never heard that one, so it might be worth trying. I like this one because we've been talking about dark cherries in the challenge group. And what it talks about is if you take a cherry and you put it on top of like a pop bottle or a beer bottle and you use a stick, you can pop the pit right through into the bottle. So that makes pitting cherries a lot easier and a lot faster. Then it talked about clean your wooden cutting boards by like cutting a lemon in half, putting it in salt and using that to rub over the top of your board. It just says to clean it properly, cut the lemon in half and dip it in coarse salt. Then scrub your cutting board and rinse everything off with water. So that sounds like a great way to clean your cutting board. I've heard this before, and I have used this. If your food is starting to dry out and you're microwaving it, put a cup of water in the microwave with it. I have done that, and that has worked. Why should you put salt on a cast iron pan? Now, this one I have no idea. It actually, your iron pans may begin rusting with time. Just like that, you have to buy another one. Instead of getting to this stage, you can just pour some salt in to prevent the rust from happening. That's kind of an interesting hack, but hey, helpful. Remove seeds from veggies faster, and it says you can scoop them out slowly. So really, to make the process easier, stop with the little scoops and go right for the ice cream scooper. So that's kind of a nice tip, and something many people have probably already tried before. 11 is making stainless steel even shinier. And what it talks about is that you want to a simple homemade mixture of water and vinegar and spray it on the surfaces that you want to clean, and that will make them easier. Soften your brown sugar, and softening your brown sugar can be done by putting an apple slice or an orange peel inside the bag. So that's kind of a nice, light. And again, these I haven't tried. I just found them in an article. Perfect breakfast eggs. When you're, if you're frying eggs on the stove, you can actually put a little bit of water in the pan, and it will make the egg more of a more perfect egg. Right in front of your eyes, it says. Peeling your eggs easily. A lot of people struggle with peeling eggs, and what it kind of recommends is that put a dozen eggs in a steamer basket and suspend it over boiling water for 15 minutes. You'll notice that this will make the eggshell slip off quicker. That may possibly work. I tend to make sure I pour a lot of cold water over, and I do peel them in water, and for me that seems to work easier. But here's the life hack to give it a try. Create your own pastry brush, and actually it says you can do this by using parchment paper. Just fold it into like an accordion shape, and you can use that as a pastry brush. The next one is make your own powdered sugar. Now I'm not using sugar, but here's a hack, and they actually grind up like table sugar and make it powdered sugar. Prevent foods from burning, and it says that you just add more water to the pan and it evaporates pretty quickly, but it'll help prevent burning. Now I've done stuff like this and I bake my eggs in it. It says using a muffin tin, and that kind of controls portion sizes for me. So using a muffin tin, I do my baked eggs in that, but they're actually doing meatloaf, so you can have little individual meatloaf servings. Flavor your grains with some tea. Now that's an interesting one, and one I hadn't thought of before. So it just says and actually it's just showing tea bags in with your rice, but you just leave the tea right in the bags, and it says just use whatever tea bag you like. We recommend you start with Earl Grey, but that's kind of an idea if you want to add a little flavor to your tea or to your rice using tea. Use up the rest of that wine. It says, oh, a lot of things are doing this. It says actually put them in an ice cube tray and freeze them. That way you kind of save it. Create your own pour spout, and I actually have done this kind of stuff. I'll use a serrated knife, and I'll actually cut a corner off, and you end up with a pour spout. Chop up squash easily. Again, this is one where it says place it in the microwave for about 2 to 3 minutes. Prevent your tomato from rotting, and this one is that you want to stem down, store them stem down. And I think my dad has told me that too, stem down. Ripen your fruit faster, put it in a brown paper bag. Use lemon juice to prevent fruit from browning. I think most of us have heard that one. And yes, I do that, especially with apples or bananas. If you're not going to use them immediately, it'll stop that brown oxidation on them. Remove pieces of eggshells easily. And it says what you should do with this one is use another piece of an eggshell to kind of scoop it out. And that would be a better way, because if you've ever tried to do it with your finger or fork or knife, it doesn't work real well. Getting rid of excess fat. Oh, this is interesting. What it's talking about is if you'd like to get rid of some of the extra fat, skim an ice cube on the top of the surface of whatever liquid you're using, and then you can spoon it out. It causes the fat to solidify, so it makes it easier to remove it. So that's kind of a cool, interesting hack. Peel a potato by boiling it. Yeah, that is true. If a potato's boiled, you can just slide that skin right off. So I definitely know that one works. Pit stored fruits easily, and they say that simply cut the fruit into 2 halves and then twist the pit out in the middle. So you can use a butter knife or your thumb to pop the pit out, but that allows you an easier way to store your pitted fruit. And pitted fruit was actually talked about recently in Doc V's challenge, so I'm going to have to go back and look at why, but we talked about pitted fruit. It was probably due to the anti-inflammatories, but I'll have to look back. 30 is extract even more lemon by refrigerate your lemon before using it. Sometimes it's not easy to make use of all the juice that fruit has to offer, especially when it comes to lemon. So if you'd like to make this more effective, simply refrigerate the lemon before using it. Interesting. Then place it in the microwave for about 15 to 20 seconds and roll it. We've all heard about rolling it. Cut it lengthwise and use tongs to get out as much juice as possible. corn cobs. It says to dekernel corn in an easier way. Put the pointy end into your pan and then just kind of slide your knife over it, and probably many people have used that hack. Grating your cheese easier. It will be easier if you put it in the freezer for 30 minutes before you grate it. Great tip, because you're right, if it gets kind of soft, it doesn't want to, and then it gets stuck in the grater. Chop onions with no tears, and they actually tell you that there's been 1,000 tricks on this. Simply try freezing your onion before you start chopping it. Wow, there's a lot of it. And I wouldn't say like put it in there for a long period of time, but just, I guess it kind of softens the smell. Or you can hold a slice of bread in your mouth and that reduces the tears. I don't get tears very often, but on occasion I do. Make your own buttermilk substitute, and they do this by squeezing just a tablespoon of either lemon juice or vinegar into regular milk, and you will create a creamy buttermilk. Again, I'm not using much buttermilk, but these are great tips. Give them a try. Having difficulty opening a jar, you can actually, oh, this is cool, put a rubber band around the top and you can use that for a grip. So you don't have to buy those rubber things. If you don't happen to find one, grab a rubber band and you're all set to go. How should you cut cherry tomatoes? Oh, look, this is interesting. They actually put a whole bunch of cherry tomatoes on a plate. They put another plate on top of it, and they just simply cut across between the two plates. That would be a great way to get a bunch of them cut really quick. No measuring spoons. It actually says you can create a measuring spoon. Now, this might get kind of complicated. It actually says you can create a complete mess while trying to measure honey or molasses, but it doesn't actually have to be that way. You can try spraying some cooking oil into your measuring spoon before using it. Oh, that's actually not a bad idea, so give that a try. If you're doing honey or molasses, something that sticks, spray Pam inside the measuring utensil you're using, and that'll make it come out easier. So actually, that's not a bad tip. Preventing honey from crystallizing. You want to put that into a hot water bath for about 5 to 10 minutes. Take it out and your honey's just like new. Hi, John. And I bet Johnny's there. Good morning, Johnny. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for that video the other day, Johnny. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. It does also talk about another hack here is foaming milk on your own. And what it says is that you can, sometimes you may want to froth your milk, but you don't actually have a milk frother at home. But like anything else on this list, there's a way you can do it at home. Just fill a jar with the amount of milk you want to froth, but it shouldn't be more than halfway in whatever jar you're using. And then start shaking it. Shake it for 30 seconds and voila, you have frothy milk. The last item on this list of 40 is if you want to brew your coffee without a coffee machine, but you don't want to spend money on a coffee machine, use this trick. Boil some coffee in a pot of water, the exact ratio of water and coffee, then remove the coffee from the heat and let the grounds rest for about 5 to 10 minutes. Lastly, grab the coffee off the top of the pot and put it in a mug. So again, these are just 40 tips. Like I said, I wanted to change it just a little bit, trying to, because we're supposed to go live for 40 days in the challenge, and I'm already doing that. So I'm just trying to find different things to talk about, maybe to make it a little bit uncomfortable or a little bit out of the ordinary for me. So I'll quickly go through this list of 40 again, and then welcome everybody to the workday. Number 1 was prevent water from boiling over the pot by putting a wooden stick over it. It prevents the boilovers, which was a great tip to try. This number 2 I do all the time. If you've got herbs or lettuces or things that you want to use in smoothies or use later, blend them up, put them in an ice cube tray, freeze them. You can put them in a bag and use them at a later date. You can use your microwave to peel fruit. You just put it in for about 20 seconds and it makes taking the peel off easier. Use parchment paper instead of those little liners for your cupcakes. That works easy. This was a good one. Keep plastic wrap in the refrigerator and it stops it from sticking together. Like sometimes that gets difficult. I love this pitting a cherry. Put the cherry on top of a pop bottle, a beer bottle. Take those little wooden screw sticks, pop it through and the cherry will pop in, and it's an easy way to de-pit your cherries. Cleaning wooden cutting boards with salt and lemon. Take a lemon, cut it in half, put it in coarse salt, use it to clean your cutting board, rinse it all off, and you've done a extra special job of cleaning. Preventing, you can put a cup of water in with anything that's drying out when you microwave your food, and it will help make it softer. Put some salt in a cast iron pot, it will prevent rusting. Removing seeds faster from like some of your fruits and vegetables, like your pumpkins. Instead of using the little scoopers, go right for the ice cream scooper. Stainless steel will be shinier if you make a mixture of water and vinegar. Spray it on the surfaces you want to wipe, and it will make them shinier. If you have brown sugar, put a little slice of either orange peel or an apple slice, and it will help keep it soft. Perfect eggs, it says if you're like frying eggs, put a little bit of water in, and that will help make them perfect eggs. Peeling your eggs, they actually kind of put it, they actually said, put them in a steamer basket, suspend them over boiling water for 15 minutes. You'll notice that the eggshell comes off quickly. I'm not sure, I know everyone struggles with eggshells, so if you give that a try, let me know how it works. This was a good one too. Create your own pastry bag. And what they do is they just like accordion up parchment paper, and they use that as a pastry brush. So in a pinch, not a bad tip. Making your own powdered sugar. They just take regular granulated sugar and blend it in a little bullet ninja, whatever you have, and it will make it powdered sugar. Prevent food from burning by adding a little water. It'll evaporate off quickly. I do this a lot. I make baked eggs or meatloaves, anything in a little tin pan. It kind of gives you a cute little thing to display, and for me it helps control portion sizes. A new one to me today was in the rice. When you're making rice, pick your favorite tea. They recommend Earl Grey. Pop it into the pan while you're cooking your rice, and it will give a little flavor to it. But they recommend Earl Grey, so that's like a milder flavor. If you're a wine drinker, an alcohol drinker, and you have leftover wines, they recommend putting that also in ice trays and freezing it for future use. Create your own pour spout. If you have an item and you can't get the pour spout out, I have done this before. Take a little serrated knife and cut a little corner edge off, and you can get the liquid out. Chopping up squash is easier if you put it in the microwave. And it says in this case, you can go from 2 to 3 minutes, but it'll make it easier to chop up your squash. Peeling. This was a good one. Keeping your tomatoes fresh longer is that you put the stem side down. Ripen your fruit like your bananas by putting them in a brown paper bag. I know a lot of these we have heard before. Use lemon juice to prevent food from turning brown. I've done that. That works. Moving eggshells. If you're cracking eggs and an eggshell gets in, take a half of an eggshell and use that to scoop it out. A lot better. Knife and fork or your finger just doesn't work. Getting rid of excess fat. This was a nice one. Actually, take an ice cube and skim the top. It will make the fat solidify. Then you can scoop it out with a spoon. So that was a nice tip. Peel your potatoes. This one definitely works. Boil them first, and then it'll peel right off. You can slide it right off. Pitted fruits store more easily and last longer, it says, if you just cut them in half and take the pit out. So definitely an easy thing, and if it gives you longer. Now for lemons, it recommends that you refrigerate them before using, and then roll them and then squeeze out, and maybe use forks and stuff to help you get more of the juice out. When you want to dekernel corn on cob, put the tip into whatever pan you're using, and then just run your knife down it, and it'll let you dekernel faster. Grating your cheese, you can actually put it in the freezer. It makes it a little bit harder. Maybe it says 30 minutes before you're going to use it. Grate it, and you're all set. Just gives it a little bit more thickness. Chopping onions with no tears. They recommend, again, putting that in the freezer for a little bit, or by putting bread in your mouth, or we've all heard of things, matchstick in your mouth, anything like that will help. But again, if you put a matchstick in your mouth, make sure the part that you've light is on the outside. Lemons, it says if you want to make your own buttermilk, you can put either a tablespoon of lemon or vinegar into regular milk and stir it, and that will make buttermilk. The next one is difficult. This was a good one. Difficulty opening a jar and you don't have any of those things to open. Just grab a rubber band, put it around the top, and that will help give you the grip to get it off. It says cherry tomatoes. This is a good one. Lay all your cherry tomato, like flip a plate upside down, lay all the cherry tomatoes on top, put another plate on top of it, and just run a knife between the two plates, and you can cut a whole bunch of cherry tomatoes quick and easy. Measuring spoons, if you're trying to measure molasses or honey, it recommends spraying Pam or cooking spray inside the utensil, and it'll make getting the ingredients out after you get them in easier. prevent honey from crystallizing, and that can be done simply by putting it in a hot water bath for 5 to 10 minutes. Foaming your milk, it's a case of fill a jar with the amount of milk you want to froth, but it should not be more than half filling the container you put it in. Then shake it up and you've got frothed milk. Brewing your coffee without a machine. And this one, I'm not a coffee drinker, so I can't speak to whether I think this would work or not. But it says if you want to brew coffee and you don't want to buy a coffee machine, just boil some coffee in a pot of water using the exact ratio of water and coffee. Then remove the coffee from the heat, let the grounds rest for 4 to 5 minutes. Then grab the coffee off the top of the pot and put it in a mug. Again, these were the 40 tips, so I hope you found 1 or 2 that might be useful as we enter new seasons and have some fun. I want to try that cherry pit one. That sounded kind of good. But I hope you found something useful. Have a beautiful day. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks again. Oh, Johnny. Hi, Johnny. And thank you, buddy, for that video the other day. It warmed my heart. I love seeing you. Bye-bye, you guys. See you soon.